Hey guys, you're watching Two Ps in a podcast, and this time it's just one P in a podcast because unfortunately Shay had a bit of a scheduling conflict, which has made it that I'm the only one here to do this interview. We have Heather Schmid, who is an American Grammy member, international recording artist, classically trained singer, musician, lyricist, television host, spokesperson, and philanthropist. Wow. Well, this is exciting.
Hello, good to
Thank you
see
for taking
you.
the time and for doing this interview. Really, really, really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad.
How are you on this fine morning?
I'm good. I'm doing good today. It's finally spring here. I live outside of Boston, and so it's been warm and sunny, and everybody's feeling a little happier.
That's
Because
good.
we get so much snow, and in the winter we're like so cranky around here.
That's really fun actually, because I'm obviously based in the UK and we've got nice looking weather, but it's not very nice on the temperature. It's very deceptive. You go, oh, t-shirt weather, and you go outside and you're like,
Well,
no, it's not t-shirt weather yet.
really?
Sat in the garden with a coat on and beer or something.
Oh, yeah. And it was raining earlier today, so you're comfortable with that weather, right?
Yeah, very used to that weather. We moan about it a lot, but we can't do without it.
That's right. That's right.
Just one of those things. So I was just going through your career. Really, I spent the whole day researching you and really enjoying your story from where you began and your where you currently are and stuff. So let's just go back to sort of your roots. Really, you've had an extensive musical career dating back to 2003. But prior to your first album, you earned a scholarship at Boston University, where you were classically trained as an opera singer, composer, and pianist. What was it about classical music that you just absolutely loved?
Oh, yeah. I loved how smart it was, honestly. I grew up in a small town in Connecticut, Marlborough, Connecticut. And we were lucky to have a really good music program. We had awesome elementary and middle school and high school, great fun foundation in music. And so, I was exposed to a lot of different styles of music. And we were near the Hart School of Music, which is in Hartford. And it's a really great opera school, basically, and classical music training school. And so as we all in high school would get better and better, we would find the Hart School of Music. And I had an amazing opera teacher, Mildred Coleman, who was she was a faculty at that. And she helped me to understand how cool it was and how, hard it was. As I was in high school, I was really driven to try new things and try hard things and really, delve into something really deeply. And opera music and classical music is that. It's this collaboration of sophisticated elements. You have a full orchestra, you have a cello player playing this beautiful, intricate line, and then you have the violinist who they all meld together, and then you also get to be in that. And it's this beautiful tapestry all flowing together that that sounds beautiful, but it's also smart, as you're listening to it. And then as I, researched and got into it, it also really helps your brain. I realized that I was kind of tending to it to just chill out, help to chill out. I'm an overly excited person. I'm going 1,000 places. And so it helps me just chill out. And I see now on Spotify, everybody, uses classical music to study. It's it does really help to chill out.
Yeah, I remember when I was back at high school, just revising for exams and things. Classical music was something that I would normally turn to, not even realizing that actually part of that was you mentioned sort of scientific aspects of it that help your brain sort of function. It just, I think partly my acknowledgement really was the fact that if you listen to what would be regular music, it has lyrics, and you start listening to that or singing along, but classical, it's kind of an emotional journey, isn't it? And I think most of what I grew up with, although it wasn't classical in the sort of classical sense, it was more like movie scores and that kind of classical area. So there's two different genres. Although it's still part of classical, it's still very different sounds. So that was kind of my childhood, really, classical music.
Neat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. Like the Star Wars soundtrack, or
Yeah,
Um,
I am still a big Star Wars fan.
Me
So,
too.
and
Me
you, oh,
too.
brilliant. What's your
Yes.
favorite film?
Well, I mean, I was totally into Mandalorian. Like, oh, I have a baby Yoda. He was sitting right here on my couch. And baby Yoda
Brilliant.
has lived so much in our lives. Like, I really liked the new stuff. But yeah, the Star Wars came out when I was really little, the first ones. And so it was such an epic, like monumental experience for us. And it was so formative. But the movie score is incredible and incredibly important to the storytelling, you know.
For sure, yeah. I
Um,
think what John did with that score just completely changed cinematic like movies from that point on, didn't it? Really
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I felt like I'm showing my age a little bit there, but I sort of I got onto Star Wars when the first three was already out. So my stepbrother sort of lent me the videos, and I was like, "What's this all about?" Then and I started watching it. And I just got hooked straight away.
Yeah, you didn't even know about it.
No, I
Yeah.
was a special edition kid, me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, it came out what in the 80s? It was really, yeah.
77 was the first one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
We'll just say 80s, it's just easier.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're very,
80s.
yeah. I mean, it was really impactful, and I think about how, like, everybody watching The Mandalorian, like I watch it with my son, and we're like experiencing the same thing that we experienced when we were little.
Yeah, it's
And
magical, isn't it?
it is really magical, and the music is so integral to it and so important to. Like I'll see him; he's 9 now, and he sings those melodies. Just like throughout life and day, like he hears that melody and it just sticks with him.
That's a sign of a good score, isn't it? Having a great little melody or a rhythm that you can just sort of like sing along
Especially
to.
classical music,
Yeah,
right? Like you never know which is the part is the melody. It's not so obvious like in pop music.
that's true. Yeah, very much so. Who was your inspiration when you were growing up then in terms of classical?
Well, so our music program in high school, we got to do a lot of competitions, and so we were exposed to a lot of different styles of music. I remember finding out about Kathleen Battle. She was like the diva's diva of opera stars, right? And she was like throwing stuff type of diva, like the Met fired her like twice, and then they brought her back because she was so incredible, and then they fired her again because she's so hard to work with. She had this incredible voice, just like really light and expressive, but so impressive. She played all the Cherubino. She plays these cute little fun roles, but she's so intense, and what a great actor. So I remember being like, oh, that is so, and it's so difficult music. So I remember I was really in love with her. I also really I loved Whitney Houston. I loved Kelly Clarkson. Her album, that first album, was incredible. You know, of course, Taylor Swift I loved. I really grew up on pop music and classical music as like two different worlds that were like, depending upon my mood and or what I was doing, going between the worlds like that.
Yeah, I was going to say because I was reading over your history again, talking about the your sort of entrance to the music world. Really, following the sort of Miss Millennium International pageant, you became known as sort of the pop dance artist during that time. So, what was the change between that? You started off sort of trained in classical and sort of the shift into pop. How did that happen? And did that shift in genre get influenced by that pageant at all?
Well, it was influenced by the location. Me and my friend decided to, once we graduated BU, we were going to go down to Vegas and we are going to compete in this Miss Millennium International pageant. It's just our fun thing. We were like, it's going to be so fun. And growing up in Connecticut and also at school, doing pageants was a way to sing opera. Because it's a way for us to like increase our performances and really get our stuff together and make college money. So
So
it
was
was
that your main reason for doing that then? Was just to sort of build that platform for you?
Well, it was like we knew what it was like. I had done pageants since Mrs. Coleman had all of her students doing pageants, honestly, the ones that could do them, because that was a really good way to hone your performance skills and your, speaking. And, she understood that it was a good way in Connecticut for people, we were from a small town in Connecticut. So I had seen that pageant in Vegas, and I hadn't been to Vegas before, but I was like, I know this world. Like, I know this world. And it was like a celebration. We weren't taking it seriously at all. And so we just competed, and I won. And when I won, they were like, okay, it was a year contract in Las Vegas. And it was a new car, and it was, they were trying to figure out what to do with the performance part of it. They wanted it to be a beauty queen thing. Like they, do the conventions, do the car shows. And I was like, oh no, girl. No, girl.
That's just not me.
No, it's not going to happen. So we came to an agreement where we, put our minds together, and, Vegas, they knew what was good for them with commerce wise. They're like, she's not going to sell the car as well. She's going to be passive aggressive. It's going to be hard to deal with. Let's understand that where the money is going to work in this. And if Vegas knows anything, they know that, right? So they were like, we came together, and we had they had some friends who were dancers, and we just put together this show. And the show was 6 dancers, and it was like Euro pop dance music. And some of the music was my music that I had recorded, and others was, covers and stuff. And I would open for shows at the MGM Grand and different casinos, and they're awesome. There were so many theaters, and then we had a mall tour. Basically, we hooked into Simon Malls, and we were doing this show every Wednesday in Vegas, and then we would do like a weekend show at Simon Malls, and it was awesome, exciting, and terrifying for an opera singer in Vegas. Like, what have I done? All at the same time. It was really incredible.
What a fantastic experience that must have been, though, eh?
It was intense.
Yeah.
It was intense. I learned how to self-advocate. Let's say that. That was the year I learned how to speak my voice, or like to speak what I felt was right, and because that line gets really iffy quickly if you don't establish your boundaries. At that time, this was, a while ago. So, but it was a really great experience now that I think about it, but also really growing,
Yeah.
How to put a show together, how to tour, how to, deal with difficult managers. There's so much.
I think that's something that a lot of artists need to kind of get as well. Because just funny enough, quite recently, there's been a UK artist who I think was the product of an X Factor one of the years. Okay. And it's just coming out now that the way that she was treated, the way some of her competitors or, the competition were treated, the stuff they were made to sign just to be on the show, and basically just really like terrible things that ordinary jobs would never get away with. So why is it okay to do that? So she's becoming sort of like the voice of everyone else now, trying to have a full investigation into the rules and regulations and get things changed, and just really support fellow artists, really. So the fact that you kind of had your own mind back then and kind of knew what was right, what was not right, and had your own voice, I think is just fantastic.
Well, it's a really hard place for women, young women singers to be in, because you're so desperate for success. You see it right in front of you. And these men, they're all men, that are, in my case, they were all men making decisions on your behalf. And you're young and impressionable and so like agreeable. I'm a naturally agreeable person. You really can get yourself, and you do get yourself into really difficult situations. They, to this day, own all of that music that I wrote. I didn't think or know to try to keep my rights. I didn't, and it was bad. It was bad music anyway. So really,
yeah, you can keep it.
You can have it.
Yeah.
And so but it was such a learning experience as a woman by myself in Vegas is extremely intimidating. You become much more suspicious. Like, okay, wait, what is behind this? I have to go and I have to read that paper, and I got to really actually look at it. And it's all of that stuff.